So the word to define impact investing over the last 10 years I would choose would be momentum. I think we've really reached a tipping point in terms of the momentum that we now have of investors seeking to have impact with their portfolios. So the biggest thing that strikes me about the impact investment industry over the last 10 years is how mainstream it's become to talk about impact as part of your investment strategy. I think that's really exciting to see institutional investors routinely talk about the impact of their portfolios and their investments. Where there's more room for improvement is to really get at real impact measurement, not just measuring outputs, but actually trying to understand the impacts, the real impacts on the ground of the investments that you're making. So in terms of themes in the impact investment industry, it's interesting that the industry started really with a social impact focus. But what we've seen over the last 10 years is a growth of environmental topics being prominent in the impact investment industry. I see that theme continuing over the next few years, particularly with a focus on biodiversity being the next big environmental topic for the impact investment industry to handle. So to make sure that our impact investments are really generating positive change, we like to really dig into the story. We like to understand what companies are doing, what is their business, what beneficiaries are they targeting, what are the stories of the people on the ground that are benefiting from these impact investments. We see KPIs, we want actual measures, we want real reporting. So in terms of emerging issues in the impact investment industry, I said this last year as well, I'll say it again, I think we need to refocus a little bit onto the social side. My main concern is that inequality and the detriment of the institutions, democratic institutions of the West is really preoccupying, and that's leading to a lot of political, geopolitical risk as well as internal social risk that we need to address as impact investors. We need to find ways to make this theme more investable for investors so that we can mobilize private capital to address these big social problems that we're facing. So in terms of private capital's role in addressing big social and environmental issues, I think private capital has always had a very large role to play. But the issue is, are we ready for private capital to play that role? It can only play that role when the right incentives are in place, when the playing field is level, or we have the right regulations and the right market frameworks in place so that investors can come in and make the necessary investments to achieve the impact. So it goes hand in hand. The public sector needs to come along with the regulatory frameworks, with the blended finance in some cases, to de-risk projects to achieve the impacts that we want to see. So for me, the most rewarding aspects of impact investment is actually getting to witness some of the positive impact on the ground. You know, the best moment of my career was watching a solar farm get built on the ground in South Africa as a result of the financing that I had provided. I think it's natural that a lot of people want to see that kind of positive impact. They want to hear those stories and they want to feel good about applying their capital to a positive impact story. In terms of the challenges of identifying impact investments, the issue is that we are cutting through a lot of noise in the market. Unfortunately, impact investment and sustainability topics are still very lightly regulated in terms of disclosures from those investees, from the companies that we invest in. And that means we need to spend a lot of time cutting through the noise, cutting through what companies want to tell us to get at the real truth of what they're actually doing on the ground. And that takes time and effort.